All right, good evening. It is Monday, October 9th, 2023. Time is 6 p.m. I am Commissioner Kathy Sizemore. I am the chairperson for the Temecula Community Services Commission, and I am calling this meeting to order. Commissioner Kingsburg, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Certainly, Chair Sizemore. Would you please stand? Remove any hats. Place your hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would Secretary Tracy Tomanez please take a roll call?
Commissioner Castro,
Here.
Commissioner Hawks,
Here.
Commissioner Kingsburg,
Here.
Vice Chair Audi,
Here.
Chairperson Sizemore,
Here.
all present. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. We have a very special evening tonight. We have people in the audience. Thank you for being here with us tonight. We have the Junior Guard and Swim Buddy volunteer recognitions. Who do we have leading that?
We have Melissa Davis from the Aquatics Department, so she'll be leading us in the presentation today.
Welcome, Melissa. We're pleased to have you here with us this
Hi,
evening.
thank you guys so much for having us here. I'm actually going to start off with a brief recap of our 2023 summer season, and then we'll do our recognition of our wonderful volunteers who are here. So we'll go ahead and start with our recap. We have a PowerPoint somewhere coming up. Hopefully, there it is. All right, so another successful summer with the City of Temecula Aquatics. This year, our bread and butter in the summertime is our swim lesson program. In the summer, we do have about 900 kids in the pool every weekday, Monday through Thursday. This year, we did have just under 4,000 participants in our swim lesson program. For our youth classes, we do operate out of 3 facilities in the morning and in the afternoon. And that is where we do serve a great deal of children with our American Red Cross Learn to Swim program, which goes from Parent and Me up to our level 5-6, which is like pre-swim team type of swim lessons. Then we also ran our adaptive swim lesson program again this summer. There were 4 summer sessions. Those are held at the Temecula Elementary School pool, and looking forward to expanding that program as we go into the next summer season. We also do a semi-private swim lesson program. That one's mainly in the evenings and is a great program for working families, as well as we do that one on Saturdays. And then we also have adult swim lessons, and those are continuing on even through the fall season. We do have quite a few adults that go through our program, which is great. So there you can see some pictures of our wonderful swim lesson program. And the other main staple in our summer season is public swim. And this year we had 11,000 participants in public swim. Specifically our midday public swim, which on weekends is from 12:30 to 3:30 and weekends 1 to 5. And then we also host a family night on Friday nights, and that had 700, almost 800 people, with 133 in our special needs family night, which we host 1 a month in the summertime, so that's 3 special needs family nights in the summer. And then we also do have a pool party zone, which is a rentable area on deck during public swim on the weekends that community members can rent that area and host a pool party for their family and friends in a lifeguarded pool. So that's a great option for people. And every weekend day that was available was rented out this summer. So we did have 900 people utilize that space, which was great. Moving on, we lap swim and water aerobics. We do have both of those programs year-round, but obviously in the summertime, we see an uptick with the heat, and the ability to work out in the water is more enticing. So we hold lap swim at 2 locations. Chaparral High School is on weekdays pretty much throughout the day, and then at the Community Rec Center pool on the weekends, and then also during the week in the mornings and in the evenings. And our water exercise program also expands in the summertime to include additional evening classes at Temecula Elementary School and additional Saturday morning classes. We also included our free fit classes, which was a special needs water exercise class and a free fit shallow water aerobics class on the weekends. And some additional programs that we offered this summer was our water polo class, which has been going for several years now. That's an 8-week class for introductory to water polo, so to get people exposed to it, and then hopefully if they like it, they can move on to a local club team. We also do our junior guard program, which we had about 76 participants in that, and this year was unique in that it used to be a summer-long program. Now we did 2 shorter sessions. We actually were able to host 4 classes this summer and get a few more participants involved, which was, I think, a great change for us. And our swim buddies, who are our volunteers with help with adaptive swim lessons. So we will be doing a recognition in a moment, and I will share more about those programs. But I'm going to pause on the information for that for a second, and then we'll finish up, and I'll just let you guys know a little bit about our staff. And because we do have a wonderful staff, I say the best staff in the Valley by far, out of everything. We just have the best people working for us, mostly young people. We did have one of our water aerobics participants transitioned into a working swim lesson instructor this year, which was great. So they're mostly young, but we do have one older person, which was really fun for everybody, and she brought a unique perspective to our team. But this year we did have 90 people on staff, and you can see the breakdown there. We do have some working as lead guards, which are site supervisors, and then senior guards is as a person who can lifeguard and teach swim lessons, and then the lifeguards, just lifeguard, water safety instructors are our swim lesson instructors. So you can see that. And then there you'll see some of the certifications that are listed. Depending on the position, they do vary a little bit, but that is the certifications that our staff go through. And then training, we do about 40 hours of preseason training, and then during the summer we do an hour and a half per week throughout the season. And then the off season we do 4 hours per month. So it's broken up a little bit different in the off season, but we do a lot of training to make sure our community is safe. And so I just can't say enough good things about our staff. When we ask them at the end of the season, we have individual meetings with them, and we ask, like, what was your favorite part? They either say the people they were working with or being able to do something useful for the community. And that really does kind of go throughout. So it's really wonderful to have these young people who love working in the community and providing a service for people as they take a break from their school year. So it was a great season. We're very happy with how it went and looking forward to next year and already starting to plan for next year. It takes a whole off season to get this show going. So with that, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions about our programs, and then we'll do our volunteer recognition.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and take some comments from our commissioners. We will start with our Vice Chair Audie.
Well, thank you for the great presentation. I can't wait for the honoring that's going on tonight. The junior guard program has always been awesome. I had a couple of my daughters participated, and what great life skills they learned in that. But the fact that you've opened it up a little bit for more participants is great. I'm interested in hearing about that. But you guys are up here. You are a top-notch program in our valley in regard to all the programs. So congratulations on what you've done.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Commissioner Hawks?
Thank you for you and your team, and I echo with what you said about your staff, 91 wonderful staff, and the lifeguards, junior volunteers. I had personal experience with them during the past few years. My children learned how to swim through those wonderful staff, and I read a few notes from your slides as well, and so I totally agree. You have a fantastic staff, so thank you for helping our community and the children in the community to learn how to swim.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Kingsburg?
Yeah, just really impressive. Thank you for sharing all this information. I know we had a good program, and this just reinforces it. So I'm really blown away at these numbers and the variety and the diversity and everything that you guys offer, and it's just a great experience being a former high school teacher myself. It's just a great experience for the students to be put in these leadership roles and have a chance to work with the younger kids. So I think it's great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Castro?
Thank you for the presentation, and what caught my eye was the pictures and how happy all the kids looked in those pictures. And I think for a lot of us growing up, that's one of the things we remember as a kid, is the time you spend at the pool with your friends and just running around, being carefree. And I think all of you should be very proud of bringing those memories for people that they're going to remember the rest of their lives. And one question I did have, with your junior lifeguard program, how many of those transition to the lifeguard program?
Yeah, so it's always less than we hope. I think the last year, I know that someone asked that last year, and so I did pull those numbers. Last year we had 5 transition into being paid lifeguards. It is, the age range is from 10 to 16, so a lot of those guards, or that volunteers in those programs aren't age ready. So there's only a handful that are actually at 15 or 16 that then can transition into a paid position. But I do know that we do have some of our junior guards who served this summer, have already taken or signed up for lifeguarding classes. So we do get some every year, and it makes the transition so much easier because they already kind of understand the system. So 5 from last year, and hopefully we'll get a few more this year. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I'd just be echoing my fellow commissioner sentiments. I know for one, I'm very impressed with the depth and the amount of training that everyone, the junior guards and your guards go through, and everyone on your staff. And I am also just really impressed with the number of and the variety of different classes you offer. I love that you offer a water polo class. I think that's such a great opportunity for youth to get an opportunity to learn what water polo is before they've already signed up and committed mom and dad's money to high school water polo. So that's one of my favorite classes that you have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the much more exciting part of this presentation and talk about our wonderful volunteers. So honestly, we could not provide the programs that we provide without having our amazing volunteer crew, some of which are representing the entire group today. There should be a couple slides for our junior guards and our swim buddies, but I'll go over kind of briefly each program, and then we'll bring everybody up for a certificate. So our junior lifeguards, like I said, they're broken up into 2 different age groups, 10 to 13 and then 13 to 16. Both groups do age-appropriate emergency skills training and water safety training. And then our older group, the ages 13 to 16, those individuals do help out with our swim lesson program, and they typically volunteer with our younger age groups, keeping them safe in the water and assisting the instructor, and also learning how to work with children, and then hopefully can transition that into a paying job. And they also volunteer during public swim as well, so they are able to get experience in our program and also get those highly desirable volunteer hours for high school. And like I said, we did do 2 sessions this summer, so we were able to get another round of junior guards halfway through the summer. We did have some people volunteer throughout the whole summer, but they were able to lower the commitment, because the whole summer is a bit of a commitment for our junior guards, so they only had to kind of commit to half of that in order to volunteer and participate in the classes. And collectively, they did serve over 900 volunteer hours, which is quite impressive. So honestly, they are incredibly helpful in our swim lesson program, and are great at singing songs with our kiddos and do a great job in the water. So, and then our Swim Buddy program is specialized to help with the adaptive swim lesson program. So they are, some junior guards do help out in the Swim Buddy program, but it can be completely separate. So we have them helping in adaptive swim lessons as an in-water aid, an extension of the instructor, and a friend of the participant. Helps provide that safe environment. The Swim Buddy program adaptive swim lessons is a bit more free form and dependent on the children's abilities and skills in the water and learning styles. So they move around in the water a bit more than our traditional classes have more of a set area that they take lessons. So our swim buddies are incredibly helpful in that aspect because they can move with their buddy and the instructor can kind of move around with them as well. They do a 3-hour training and then they do commit to the 2-week time frame of the swim lesson period. So they're supposed to be with their buddy every day during that participant swim lesson. A lot of our swim buddies do volunteer for more than one session, which is great. And during that 2-week period, they usually help with more than one class. So they'll be helping a few different buddies during that time. So incredibly helpful to have them. And they come during the middle of the day. So it can be very hot. So I'm very thankful that they do commit and help us with that program. So I cannot say enough good things about our volunteers. Honestly, we could not do the quality and quantity of program that we do without them. So if you guys will come up to get a certificate, and then we'll do a picture. Parents will let you guys take a picture too. So if you guys will all stand and come up, we'll give you a recognition certificate.
While everyone's getting organized, we just wanted to also extend a big hearty thank you to all of the parents and family members who help this program be successful, because we know, especially with a lot of the younger participants, that's a lot of driving for parents and family members and making sure everybody gets to all of their trainings and all of their shifts, and we know that we couldn't do it and they couldn't do it without your support. So thank you as well for being here this evening.
Lost our camera girl.
If any of our commissioners would like to step down and join the photo, you're more than welcome.
If you'd like, you could also stand behind or come down and stand with the group, whatever makes more sense for you there.
Okay, yes, thank you guys so much. You guys can have a seat. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, and thank you to staff as well, because without your innovative approach to programming and morale and team building, we wouldn't have this amazing cohort of kids who keep, I shouldn't say kids, of employees and staff members who keep coming back season after season to help with the community. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. Alrighty, now is the time that we go into our regularly planned meeting, and this is typically the time that when we have visitors that they all decide to leave. So we are totally accustomed to that. We are not offended. So if you'd like to stay with us, we would appreciate it, and we'd love to have you with us. But if not, this is your exit cue. Thank you for coming out tonight. All righty, let's go into our public comment period. Tracy, do we have any public comments?
No, we do not.
All righty, then we will dispense with the reading of those rules, and we will go straight into our division reports. Starting with our recreation report, we have with us Matt Dobbins. Welcome, Matt. It's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight.
Matt, feel free to introduce yourself before you begin. I think this is your first time doing this, right?
It's actually my second
Oh,
time,
okay.
but last time half the commission wasn't here.
There we go. All right then.
My name's Matt Dobbins. I've worked for the city for 5 years. I started out working at the CRC and the skate park. I did day camp, and now I'm currently in sports. I assist with the youth tournaments, the adult softball and kickball, and I also run the basketball league.
It is a pleasure to have you here with us, Matt. And I forgot, I wanted to make sure to formally welcome Jasmine here with us this evening. We have a Jasmine visiting us. It's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight also. So now on to recreation with Matt.
Perfect. All right, well, we'll start with aquatics. They kind of gave a pretty good overview right there. But in September, some more specific things. They had 1,356 attendees at lap swim, 99 at water exercise and master classes, 24 at swim lessons, 284 participants at public swim, and 11 lifeguard classes. Public swim has concluded for the season. It ran from May through September with over 13,000 participants. Lap swim will continue through fall and winter, but evening lap swim excuse me, will only continue until fall. As far as the American Red Cross goes, 11 students participated in the first session of lifeguard courses. The upcoming classes will be the remainder of this year, and then following into January, and then 8 students participated in the water safety instructor classes. As far as the staff goes, aquatics team members refresh their skills in administering emergency oxygen, as well as in-water rescues, including spinal immobilization, backboarding, extrication, and emergency action plans. Contract classes. In September, contract classes had a total participancy of almost 5,000 with almost 300 classes. You can see there are a wide variety of classes. Some of the examples might be Kids Night Out, Teen Screenwriting, Watercolor Painting Techniques, Hawaiian Tahitian dance, and a very wide variety of sports, including hockey, karate, basketball, and some football, senior yoga, and even CPR workshops. Over at the CRC, they just had their Fit Fun Color Run on September 24th. It was a big success. They had over 900 runners registered and over 150 spectators. A special thanks needs to go out to the sponsors of the event, which were ProFlow Heating and Air Conditioning and Doe Creamery. We did have a contract instructor there, Christy Cox, who led the kids in a little bit of stretching before the obstacle course. And as usual, Shauna Sarnowski and Jeff Waddleton helped us with the event. Shauna did photography and Jeff was the MC. Okay, our skate park. The Temecula Skate Park hosted a bike jam in September. This event was designed for ages 17 and under. They partnered with Neighborhood Drop-In, and another thanks goes out to Scooter Zone for donating the prizes and giveaways for the event. The next Scooter Jam will be Saturday, November 18th from 9 to 11. The Teen Zone. September 2023, the Teen Zone had a total impact of 305. They continue to remain open every weekday and some Saturdays, as well as the As well as the teen zone access, they also get access to the gym, which is available Tuesday through Saturday. The participants get to do things such as games, crafts, and cooking. And you can go to the next slide. And they also get access to our Wacky Wednesday themed events every month. So this last one was a vision board making, and apparently they had tons of fun. Homeless outreach, September 2023, homeless outreach had 8 street exits, which year to date is totals up to be 67. A few of those outreaches are as follows. SWAG recently placed a Temecula client in a 90-day substance abuse treatment facility. They also connected with a Temecula client to Helping Hearts Hulin, I believe, in Riverside. SWAG connected a female client to Transitional Sober Living Home at Parent Care in San Diego, and another client was connected to SWAG Ranch for bridge housing, and that client is currently awaiting transition into the Salvation Army program. A few other miscellaneous events to note were one, Brittany Say from the TCSD Rental Division began cross-training with the Homeless Outreach Division and is learning about the resources they provide, as well as day-to-day operations at the Temecula Resource Center. Another one would be the group quality of life engagement with city staff, SWAG, and core team. That team visited sites off Rancho California and Diaz Road where they made contact with 2 clients. On September 12th, the homeless outreach staff was joined by Temecula Valley Hospital for street outreach efforts. The staff provided resources to Santa Gertrudis Bike Trail, and on September 20th, they had a monthly collaborative meeting that took place at the Resource Center with the city staff, SWAG, and Temecula Valley Hospital. Over to the library. In September 2023, the library circulated over 20,000 items. They had a door count of 19,657, and they had several programs. Those programs include preschool story times, which had 1,230 attendees, school age programs, which had 385 attendees, teens teaching tech, which had 19, and 60 attended the Grandparents Are Whaley Fun. The displays included National Library Card Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, and National Preparedness Month. They also have an event upcoming. It's called Cemeteriums. It's on October 16th from 6 to 7:30. Okay, on to the parks. We had a couple upgrades at the parks recently. Harveston Lake Park upgraded the lighting on the gazebo. Personally, I went and saw that recently, and it was phenomenal. It really added to the ambiance and made a really nice walk. And the pump track also added a new shade structure at Ronald Reagan Sports Park. Okay, on to sports. Our local recognized youth leagues are currently in mid-season. Our city adult softball, kickball, and adult basketball leagues are in mid-season. Our 2024 tournament schedule will be completed by October 15th, and our locally recognized youth basketball league is completing registration this month as well. Rental groups are at full capacity for all the fields and hockey rinks as well. Some of the tournament groups that we have this month are SCA Perfect Game, which we had this past weekend, Just Want to Play Ball, and DC SoCal USSSA. Special events. In September 2023, special events had a total impact of 6,346. Some of those events included National Preparedness Fair, which had 450 attendees, September 11th Remembrance, which had 225 attendees, and the Art Fest, which had 4,000 attendees. The TCC and Picnic Shelter also had 19 rentals with over 1,000 patrons serviced. The Welcome Center also had 521 walk-ins. This month, we have 2 events, the Halloween Carnival on October 27th from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Civic Center, and the Halloween Bike Tour on October 28th at 7 p.m. at the Harveston Community Park. The Old Town Temecula Community Theater was back in action in September 2023 with a full calendar of events. Some of these performances were Temecula Valley Players' Little Shop of Horrors, who had 12 performances with over 2,000 patrons, as well as TEDx Temecula Reforming. The Merc stayed busy as ever with the regular programming of At the Merc series. Jazz at the Merc and Country at the Merc had a slight increase in sales, while classics at the Merc continued with low attendance. However, stand-up comedy with Matt DeMeo, Brazilian Latin jazz, and speakeasy at the Merc had all sold out. There were 14 performances with 517 patrons. This concludes the first section of our report, and we're happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate your very thorough report, and we really enjoy having you back here with us tonight.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead, and I will go ahead and ask for comments and questions from our commissioners, and we will start with Commissioner Castro. I mix it up every
I know
time, so you
caught
guys
me
are,
off guard.
yeah.
I didn't hear you. Oh, I just said she keeps you on your toes. Oh, thank you for the report. That was very informative. I had one question. What is Grandparents Whaley Fun?
My guess is that's a punny-themed book for grandparents, but I haven't read it personally.
Okay.
Each story time at the library, each week they have a different theme.
Oh, okay.
So my guess is that ties into some theme they had that week, but I had the same question, so.
Okay.
I believe
A quick Google will
Grandparents'
probably
Day
tell us.
was in September, so I think there was a tie-in there.
Thank you.
That makes sense.
There we go.
Dang, I didn't get a gift or nothing. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Castro. And let's see, Commissioner Kingsford.
Thank you. Again, great to see the numbers again on the swim for the entire summer. That's just amazing, and the contract classes look really strong as well. Thank you, Matt. Nice to meet you, and good to know who's in charge of the basketball league. I don't know if you guys do an old guys division, but 50 and over maybe?
I'm talking about adding it.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
Well,
Talk
if
to this
it's
guy right here.
if it's half court now 3-on-3, I might be interested. So keep that in mind for us old guys.
Absolutely.
I believe we call that a master's division.
Ooh, I like that.
I've heard it Silver's division.
No, master sounds better,
Yeah, it's
because we know what silver really
Been a few years since I was in that league, and the last time I was pretty overwhelmed by the talent, so I'm not going to try it full bore. But anyway, I did have one other question. I'm curious about the effects of the teen zone. I know the CRC just remodeled, reopened, redid the gym, redid the teen zone. Has that created? I'm sure it's been an improvement. Has it created more space, and has participation been stronger by any chance?
So the CRC is being remodeled in 3 phases, and we just finished phase 1, which did not directly increase the size of the teen zone. But
Okay.
it is slated for an expansion in phase 2.
Got it. Thank you for that. And then one other question was, I had seen the TEDx advertised. Is that available on the city website or on YouTube by any chance?
TEDx Temecula will post it when they're, I haven't checked to see how long it takes them to get it up, but they will post it on their own website.
Thank you so much.
All right. I believe they have a YouTube channel, too, for TEDx Temecula. So you can check that. Commissioner Hawks?
Thank you, Matt, for the report. Just a quick piggyback on the TEDx, and TEDx organizer actually goes to my Toastmasters Club, and they do have a website and they will post it, but I'm going to check with him to see when he's posting it. I will let you know. Thank you. And I have a couple of questions since we're talking about swim, and I'm wondering, are these junior guards or volunteers, is there a requirement for them? They need to be at certain level before they can volunteer?
If either of you would like to come on up, you can just respond to that question directly.
Hello again. The junior guards do have a swim test that they do have to accomplish before they can participate as a junior guard. It's pretty minimal, but we do have to make sure that they're water safe before we start introducing additional water skills like life-saving skills and that kind of thing. So for the older group, the swim test is a little bit lengthier, and then the youngers is a little bit less because they don't do as much in-water activity. So it is listed on the website, but I do not have it memorized.
Okay, thank
exactly
you.
what it is, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, of course.
And my other question is, I noticed the library, mostly the numbers are about the Temecula Public Library. What about the other library, the Grace Melman Library?
So Grace Melman is run through the county's system, so we don't actually have any, oversight or
Okay.
access to that.
Okay.
If you go to Rivers, it's called RCLS, Riverside County Library System, and they should be able to provide any statistics for Grace Melman or any of the other county libraries.
Okay. I do notice, I just know that library is also listed on our activities in the magazine.
Yes, and that's because the Friends, so we have a nonprofit Friends group that does fundraising that supports and pays for a lot of those activities, and that Friends group does the activities for both libraries. So it's Friends of the Temecula Public Libraries, plural.
Okay.
So the Friends group raises money for both libraries, which is why we include it in our guide, since we're providing those activities to residents. But we don't actually have any administrative oversight to the Grace
Okay.
Melman Library.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
No problem.
Yeah, overall, I'm really happy to see all the numbers. Seems so many choices for our community, whether you're a master class or even to a baby, they can take an infant swim lesson. So it's really great to live in this city and to have the quality of life. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hawks. Vice Chair Audi.
Great job, Matt. Thanks very much. We have swim people here tonight, so I can't go without thanking you again for giving us such a special program, which, again, I personally have benefited from over the years, with my children in it, and as a master's swimmer. It's just, and then all the improvements you've made on it, it's just very special. So thanks for giving us such a super model program. Question on the remodel. There was a picture of a kid in a kitchen. And was the kitchen remodeled in that stage, in stage one or phase one?
The kitchen had what I would call a partial remodel. None of
Okay.
the major appliances were replaced. The sink, through a series of comedic potential errors, ended up being replaced.
Okay.
The flooring, I think, was redone in the kitchen. But if you walked in, you wouldn't necessarily go, oh, this kitchen's been remodeled.
Okay.
So, and none of the major appliances were replaced or changed, and none of the main countertop was
All right.
replaced or changed.
Maybe Photoshop, because it looked better in the photo. but-
It's just that young man has a big smile. He looks
That's
happy.
There we
true.
go.
Yeah,
Then
oh,
He's
there
got
it
a
is.
snack.
That's what it is.
Thank you for putting that up. Okay. The last question is not, I don't really I'm not looking for an answer tonight, but a lot of people have talked about it. Our public, Ron Roberts Library they just do amazing things there. And I'm kind of curious on that how the libraries are managed in our city. And I don't want you to go into detail, but maybe you could get that information to us via an email or.
Sure. Did you have any specific questions about how they
It's mostly about how we fund it, because,
Okay.
I mean, our city is so good about being conservative with funding and then being able to use those funds to do special things for the community. But I'm just kind of curious about, it's different, right, than most of our
Yes.
programs.
I can give you a quick overview now if you want, or if you want to defer, I can just send an email.
I think I'll defer, and
Okay.
just, if you could get that information to us, it'd be
Absolutely.
great. Okay. Thanks again, Matt.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And now's my opportunity. Again, thank you for coming out and sharing with us about aquatics. It's such a great job that you guys do with the program. And, you know, really, I've always felt every child here in Southern California needs to know how to swim, because that's life safety right there. So thank you for providing that service to our community. I wanted to mention, I love seeing the photos of the color run. I did volunteer my first year as a commissioner there, and the staff is just so streamlined, and they know what they're doing, that I just saw that year I was in the way. I was in their way, because they know what they're doing. So I enjoy watching it from afar and seeing the photos. It always looks like such a fun event. I did have an opportunity to attend a number of the events this month. I wanted to narrow in on Art Fest. I really enjoyed coming out for Art Fest because I saw such such a wide variety of ages that were at this event. We had youth there, we had adults, we had young adults. It was just, it was a great event, and seeing the skill, the talent, the creativity in the cosplays that we have here in Temecula. One thing I noticed when I was looking around at the Art Fest was in the park area, the grass, we had the art vendors, and it was almost kind of like a repeat of who we see on our first Friday art nights. And it kind of just, my observation was that it wasn't as well attended as far as the people out in that part as when you got into the anime section. That was packed. Has there been any thought or any possibility in the future, maybe this becoming Temecula's Comic-Con, or taking the event in that kind of a direction?
So the art festival has experienced some changes over the years. We did combine with Tony Moramarco in hosting his kind of mini Comic-Con. We have realized that there is a big draw to that, and he has privately hosted those kind of events in the past. So I think we are kind of brainstorming how we can continue to merge the events. As you mentioned, it is a lot of the same artists that come to the art nights. For the art exhibitor portion, it's open to just online signups. So that's why I think a lot of them, since they are local artists. So we are looking into ways of how we can continue to combine the two, but I can see how it is vastly different audiences.
Well, and I've seen I saw some of those same vendors at our Sunset Market. So it was kind of like, I would have, I am not into the anime. My kids, my young adults are. But I found myself enjoying that part of Art Fest, and I could have gone to have more. I could have.
In your
more.
opinion, would you prefer to see more of a focus on the Comic-Con and eliminate the art exhibitor portion, or just seeing more attention brought to
I really love our arts community, Tracy, and I'm afraid to answer that.
Okay,
because
understood.
If I answer that, I could get in a lot of trouble. Okay?
Okay.
I'm just saying, I really enjoyed the Comic-Con, and it just felt like my observation was there were more people.
And I do see how that
Enjoying
reaches a
that.
wide variety of demographic for that event, so we definitely appreciate that feedback.
I'm not in control of whatever you put in brackets or parentheses.
Understood. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you listening and understanding. All right, we will move along to our next reports, which will be our cultural arts reports. And we have Daniel Morales here with us tonight. Welcome, Daniel. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Daniel Morales, and I work as the archivist and curator for the Temecula Valley Museum. Tonight, I will be reporting updates provided by the Arts and Culture team, the Temecula Valley Museum, Community Outreach, Inclusive Services, Senior Services, and Workforce Development. Art Nights took place on September 1st, but due to inclement weather, the event continued in the Merc in conjunction with their gallery reception being held for the Dorland Mountain Arts Colony. Please see the slide for upcoming artists being showcased in our galleries around the city. This summer, the Temecula Valley Museum hosted the 16th annual Ralph Love Plein Air competition, in which 36 artists participated, with Joyce Trin taking home Best in Show for her painting in the Civic Center. This was also the first time the competition included a youth category for artists 17 and under, with a prize basket of art supplies presented to the winner, Yuelin Aileen Chu. Thank you to Commissioners Jeff Kingsburg and Ernest Castro for their help in judging the artwork and for attending the reception, and again to Commissioner Kingsburg for assisting with announcing the results. 2024 will be Temecula's 30th anniversary of sisterhood with Daisen Nakayama, Japan. And to celebrate the occasion, the Temecula Sister City Association worked with Daisen's committee to plan the return of in-person visits, including hosts' families' accommodations. The museum had a 31.2% increase in attendance over last September. This boost was supplemented by the previously mentioned plein air competition, which is on display until October 29th. In previous years, the display had occurred in the Merc. On September 9th, Culture Days focused on the Philippines. Guests enjoyed Filipino foods provided by Let Bakes and Catering and a variety of games and crafts. Bigfoot art classes provided a free art session for children as well. The event concluded with 225 guests, including Commissioner Dr. Yuan Hawks and her family. The current mural on display at Sam Hicks Monument Park is in celebration of California Mission Day. 18-year-old Charlie Lively designed this mural with iconic imagery of California in mind, with the backing of Bigfoot art classes. In partnership with Visit Temecula Valley and in tandem with Temecula Wine Month, the museum hosted a competition in its rotunda for visitors to vote on their favorite of 7 art pieces showcasing wine country. The winner was Susan de Armand for her artwork Balloon Rose. Following this event, the rotunda has been decorated for Halloween by the Temecula Valley Women's Club Museum Committee. On September 23rd, local artist Barbara Nelson taught a plein air painting class at Sam Hicks Monument Park in conjunction with the competition. There were 30 guests in attendance. And on October 14th, Culture Days will focus on South Korea, and the Fall Bazaar will also take place in Sam Hicks Monument Park. The next exhibit in the museum will be Rug Hooking for the Holidays, opening on November 3rd, with the rugs being provided by North County Wool Gatherers. Moving on, Community Outreach's impact achieved over 43,000 reaches and over 97,000 views. This was achieved by posting a personal record of 34 Instagram stories in 1 month that totaled 22,600 views, along with 9 reels that totaled over 65,000 views. One reel in particular, Halloween Happenings, makes up for over 40,000 of those views, and the number is still climbing. Some recent successful completions include marketing campaigns for Temecula Art Fest and the Fit Fun Color Run, an episode of Just the Facts with Zach, and a council highlight video with Mayor Pro Tem Stewart regarding Temecula History Day. The team is currently working on the Guide to Leisure Activities with the classes team and creating a social media policy and style guide for TCSD, along with other marketing campaigns. Inclusive Services hosted their 24th annual High Hopes Anniversary Party at the Temecula Community Center on September 25th. Delicious food, a special anniversary cake, and plenty of dancing made for a fun and exciting night to celebrate 24 years of High Hopes. Meetings for the Youth Advisory Council returned on September 6th, with the primary goal being team building in order to ensure the students had a strong foundation to start their year. Since then, they volunteered at the High Hopes 24th Anniversary Party, the College Fair, and the Health and Community Resource Fair. The Global Citizens Horticulture and Viticulture Vocational Program visited Sparrow Vineyards and the Wilson Creek Winery to learn about the California grape growing cycle, local vineyard pests, the winemaking process, grape and wine varieties, and more. The group also received STEM lessons regarding astronomy and clouds earlier in the month, which included making solar system bracelets. The program is held every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. On September 9th, 14 families attended the Inclusive Social Skills Program at Eagle Soar Playground and Splash Pad in partnership with the Disability Sports Foundation. During the September session, children enjoyed painting, sensory bins, sports, and of course the splash pad. The next session takes place on October 14th at 9 a.m. The Human Services team held the new staff training series on September 19th, 21st, and 26th at the Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library, as well as the Civic Center Conference Center. Topics included disability and etiquette training, presented by the Department of Rehabilitation, service animal training, presented by Canine Companions, food handler training, emergency training, and more. The 13th Annual Health and Community Resource Fair took place on September 30th in Town Square Park, with over 1,500 patrons perusing the offerings of over 100 vendors, which included wellness screenings, a Meet the Mayor booth, and a fun zone. The fair provided entertainment through TCSD classes such as Vailani's Polynesian Dance, Ballet Folklorico, and A Joyful Noise. Sponsors included Temecula Valley Hospital, EOS Fitness, and ProFlow. Thank you to Mayor Schwenk for kicking off festivities, Commission Chair Sizemore for participating, and all the commissioners that were able to stop by and support the event. Senior Services took an excursion to the Cheech Marin Center for Chicano Art and Culture on September 13th. 24 seniors took the Human Services Shuttle to appreciate culturally rich pieces created by Chicano artists. After touring the museum, everyone got to explore the surrounding area and eat at the food lab before returning home. The senior monthly event at the Temecula Community Center included a performance by the Mary Phillips Senior Center Choir, a shared lunch, a free health screening, and a raffle. The event took place on September 7th during National Senior Center Month, a time to showcase the connections that the seniors make and how the resources provided are vital for helping the seniors stay healthy and independent. On September 30th, the College and Vocational Fair returned to the Promenade Mall for the first time in 3 years, making it the second biggest day at the mall following only Black Friday. 160 schools attended, including UCs, CSUs, and private, military, elite, and out-of-state schools as well. Junior and senior high school students had the opportunity to explore these higher education options. while it allowed representatives to recruit students and provide information about their schools. A wine reception for the representatives followed the event in appreciation for their participation. Every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m., the Youth Innovators Program invites high school students to facilitate youth programs and events throughout the city, including the College Fair, Junior STEM Camp, Rocktober, and the Young Women's Career Conference. There were 4 meetings in September with an average of 12 attendees. Speaking of the Junior STEM program, they held their first meeting of the school year on September 6th. 16 middle school students learned human biology concepts through presentations, demonstrations, and hands-on activities with the help of the Youth Innovators Program. The Internship and Fellowship Program, which offers various opportunities for graduates and college students to gain valuable local government experience, recruited 11 interns during the month of September, who were placed in community services, economic development, emergency management, and IT and support services. Meanwhile, the externship program recruited 14 externs during the month, who can be found learning in automotive, culinary, media, and medical areas throughout the city. In total, workforce development had an impact of 8,053 participants. This concludes our final report. Please feel free to follow up with any questions regarding the presented information.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that very thorough report. Thank you for being here with us tonight. We'll go ahead and take questions and comments from our commissioners. And let's see, we will start with Commissioner Hawks.
Thank you, Daniel, for the report, and welcome back. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the plein air exhibit at the museum. I looked at each piece. Wow, we have lots of talents there. And I also enjoyed painting in the park. I was one of the 30 participants learning from Ms. Barbara Nelson. I really appreciate her and her husband coming out to teach that class.
Oh yeah, she's amazing, definitely.
So that was very relaxing, 2 hours in the park painting. So thank you. And I believe that's the first time the museum hosting that event. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So I heard lots of good feedbacks. I heard the participants were asking. So maybe this is something we can do on a more regular basis.
Yes, certainly. I think right now it is paired with the plein air competition, but that would definitely be something that we would look into to make a more recurring throughout the year event instead of just once a year.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I definitely noticed the growth in the museum, especially during the culture days on the Saturdays. I tried to go there, and I made it this month, or last month, September. And I noticed from a year ago how the numbers were low, but now I can't just tell. It's almost, I'm not sure exact the number if we reach the pre-COVID number, so definitely it's there.
Oh yeah, it's been very popular, especially with all the food that's offered at the front doors. Yeah.
Yes, so I'll continue to support that whenever I can.
Thank you.
And I have a question about the STEM class, because I tried to sign up my son for that class 2 months ago, and he was number 20 and 28 on the waiting list for 2 of the class. It's supposed to be 50 participants. So I'm surprised to see only 16 participants. Is that they dropped out?
You know, I would have to double check with Charles on the number, but I know that class has been very, very popular. And because it was free, what happens is a lot of people sign up and then they don't show up.
Okay.
So going forward, we're actually going to be imposing a nominal fee on that class. I think we settled on $5 or $10 per session. So the goal is with a nominal fee, people will at least let us know if they
Yes.
can't make it and then open the spot back up. Because unfortunately, when it's free, people sign up and think, oh, it's free, and then if they can't make it, they don't bother canceling because they don't have anything to gain
Yes.
by canceling. So then people don't show up, and we have lots of empty seats, and people who wanted to go didn't get in.
Yes,
So, but we'll be changing that in the future.
that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I have, also he has friends wanted to go, and when I told them, I said, no, it's too late. I already couldn't sign up. Yes. And other than that, a great report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hawks. We will go to Commissioner Kingsburg.
Thank you. I appreciate the report, Daniel. A lot of good things going on. Appreciate you sharing those. Pleased to see the college fair back at the mall. It sounds like it was quite successful. And it was a pleasure to judge the contest and be there on the awards night and work with my fellow Commissioner Castro on that and some other folks. I did want to, at least make a comment or ask a question about the facility, museum facility. And I noted in your report, you spoke to a 31% boost in September in attendance. And you seem to link that sensibly to the plein air exhibit. So a lot of folks are coming over to see that, correct?
Yes, I believe so. This has been going on for just so many years that most people are aware that at least once a year people get to see beautiful paintings of their own city, so it's very popular here.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to participate in it because, again, the talent's just fantastic and enjoyed it. I wanted to put out there that I'm curious about the museum facility as far as options. I guess there was a decision made to use the facility for the awards, which the paintings were there, and it sounded like it worked out well. And it was a nice evening. I mean, the people that were there enjoyed it, but I will say I found it to be a little bit tight as far as space goes. In general, I tend to find the museum tight in space. Maybe I'm just kind of claustrophobic. And so I'm curious, about the future, looking ahead. It's maybe something for you guys to review. And, I guess the Merc was used previously. Not that that's a huge space, at least the front of it either. I was there for art night. I know there are other city facilities that could be used, but in an ideal sense, I don't know how the museum staff feels about it, not to put you on the spot, but in an ideal sense, I know the museum now is at 25 years old or so. I'm going to come out and say publicly, I'd like to see, the museum on the capital improvements list and what can be done to create a grand space that matches our art program. And I'll leave it at that and let anybody else comment who'd like to. So thank you so much.
Of course, yeah. Our staff is certainly aware that our facility is not up to the standard that we put out for our exhibits and events. There's so much more that we want to do with it. But as a little brief history, the facility itself was not designed or built necessarily originally by the city. It was actually built by planned by the previous owners of the original History Museum in Old Town, and was later purchased mid-project when they ran out of funding to complete that same design. So there are quite a few inconsistencies, to say the least, that sort of go against the goals that we had for the museum. I mean, originally it was just a normal history museum, but now we have such grand exhibits. It just does not really correlate with the size of the museum that was originally built. Plein air in particular used to be in the Merc, yes, but we had so many participants in the last 2 years, including this one, that it was just unrealistic to put them on such a small gallery space. While the stage is certainly nice in the Merc, the walls at the museum, though small they are, is enough where that we can at least display the pieces in a line instead of stacking them, so some are below others, and it's just awkward because, you don't want to be the artist whose piece is under like 4 other pieces, and it's just not necessarily fair. But our staff certainly agrees that there are sweeping changes that we'd want to be made. We're a very specialized team, and all of us are aware of what we can do to make the museum as great as it could possibly be, including a competitor against other museums in the area. So whatever you and the rest of the city believes sweeping changes, where sweeping changes can be made, we are more than willing to participate and also help where we can. We will do everything we can to continue providing important cultural and artistic events to the public, but we know that it can be better.
Follow up on that. Thank you. You guys do a great job. You absolutely do a great job. And I think, say for the display, it worked. Everything fit in there. I just think to really recognize the winners in a appropriate way, it just to be crowded and cramped into the upstairs, it would be better to be in a different room at that point. You got to balance everything out, but I'll leave it at that. But again, thank you for all you guys do. You do a great job.
Thank you very much.
Well, I was going to share with you, Commissioner Kingsburg, and perhaps Bea and Erica can add some updates or information on this. Last year, there is a bigger vision. If you go in and ask Tracy, there's a model, and she'll share that with you. There is a bigger vision for really making that into a performing arts center. And here last year, before Mayor Ron's term ended, the council did approve creating an endowment, or gave the permissions to get that rolling, to create the fundraising element for a performing arts center that would have an ability for like the symphony to perform, and it would give us those viewing areas. I know I would like to have seen it here yesterday. Bea's advised me and educated me that doing a performing arts center is a much longer-term project.
Correct. Thank you, Daniel, for setting the foundation. I want to also say that Daniel was foundational in getting us a collections assessment for preservation grant. So it's baby steps. What I want to say is that he initiated a grant that has now produced a 123-page assessment of our back of house of the museum, the building itself, everything. It's very thorough, and it says, step one, get HVAC, get climate controlled. It has the path for us to get there. What has to accompany it, obviously, is funding, CIP, and we do have a master strategic priorities that we set way back in 2018, pre-pandemic. So because things have stalled and the pandemic hit, things are a little bit behind what our ideal schedule would be of having a new facility, a cultural arts center with performance spaces and artists' lofts, and maybe that's for uptown. So we're planting seeds now that the younger generation will then carry on. A performing arts facility, a cultural arts center, an art museum, it's a 10-year minimum plan. So even if we want it today and we start out, it's not going to be open until, a while. However, the strategy is there, the vision is there, the support is there, it's the funding is not committed yet. So even though Matt Ron on his way out has said, I want a performing arts center, it's first you have to do a feasibility study. That's $50,000. It's like very incremental steps to get there. However, by doing the things like Daniel has initiated, the vision that Tracy has, the Friends organization, everyone has a piece of the puzzle and we all have to work on it together. So it's not an overnight thing, but it is in the plan, it is in the vision. There are some funding that we have gone after. I know that the Congressional Community Project funding was requested for $750,000 specifically to improve, to renovate the museum. If those funds do come through, we'll have a reconfiguration and a relocation of moving the things that are on the first floor to the second floor, and then we would have a bigger exhibit space that would then allow for artists to be acknowledged in the rotunda space, which is a beautiful gathering space. So the vision and the plan is there. It's just a matter of the snail's pace of government and funding. So we want to update the facilities. There's the restroom is, there's only a restroom behind the house, back of house, for specific, emergencies. Otherwise, there's the restrooms outside. So that doesn't make sense. So to be a facility that is equitable to what we're offering, it probably needs a full redesign, and that's the vision that the Friends organization and Tracy have. Again, it's a vision. It's not going to happen overnight, but that's our hope and dream, and with our director's support and CIP and our city manager, we will get there, but it's incremental. It's $750,000 here, $1 million there. We have to cobble it together, but producing something of that magnitude is a lot of money.
Well, and I think we're doing our part right here by making sure the conversation continues. I took my daughter into, because she would love to have a performing arts center here. She loves going to the one in Orange County. And I took her in and Tracy showed her the model and talked to her. So I feel that it's not probably going to be for my generation to build, it's going to be for her generation. So I planted that seed and I talked to young artists about it. Just an idea that came to me as we're talking about recognizing and space for the plein air. What about a possibility of us awarding the winners their certificates here at a commission meeting? Do we have space in the galleries here at City Hall to display it, perhaps extending display over to the conference center? I've seen that once before.
We could definitely look into that, and we could certainly, anything that you would like to recognize here at commission, we can essentially recognize that commission within reason. I know Commissioner Castro was going to bring up perhaps later a future agenda item to discuss recognitions in general, but specifically with plein air, there's no reason why we couldn't do that here at commission. We could possibly do that in addition to having an artist reception earlier. In terms of the gallery space here, it's really a question for Tracy and or her staff. Isabel, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that you wanted to chime in. You're more than welcome to jump in on that, not to put you on the spot.
Oh, you have to come to the podium.
The Civic Center walls are limited because there's not a lot of space, but I like the conference center idea. It's just, it's a lot of paintings for, a short amount of time. It'd be a one night only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do agree with the idea of recognizing them in a space that they can be seen. So we would definitely be on board with trying to make that happen because I know to the artists it does mean a lot for them to be elevated and, like I said, seen and recognized. So we can definitely go into conversation about that later, especially with Tracy and making something like that happen.
Okay.
And like Daniel said, we're doing our best in helping them have the space to share their creativity, as limited as it can be sometimes. But I think even kind of like squeezing them in the museum, it just goes to show how much, there is that they have to offer for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up impromptu. And
Thanks, not to put you on the spot, but glad you were here. Before we move on, I did want to jump in on the topic of renovating the museum. I totally agree the facility needs a renovation. As you gathered from what Bea said, there's been a lot of discussion around this, a lot of very hopeful concepts circulated about what that could be, whether that's Tracy conceptualized a modest renovation, which would essentially be flipping the top and the bottom. Right now, the bottom is our local history. The top has our rotating artist galleries, our rotating exhibits, and the children's area. As Daniel mentioned, and I appreciate that history on the facility, I learned some new things tonight too. That building was never intended to be what we've turned it into, and largely under Tracy's vision as she became the manager of what was at the time just the Temecula History Museum. She has envisioned a space that encompasses not just our very, very local history in a narrow sense, but also a broader sense of arts and culture within the community, which is fantastic. The downside of that is that it has outgrown its space. We did have a really aspirational vision of that place as a performing arts, a visual and performing arts center, essentially. I don't think that's a realistic expectation for that location for a variety of reasons, parking and traffic being the very top. But you talked about advocacy for that, and I would just say that for context, any decision about the capital improvement program as a whole or funding in general has to come from council, and what this project could really use is somebody at the council level to advocate for it. In point of fact, we currently have an over $800 million 5-year CIP, which is just beyond any reasonable expectation for a city of our size. I mean, cities 5 times the size of Temecula don't have that kind of funding in their CIP. It's unbelievable. At the same time, capital expenses have been through the roof. I was just in a conversation today with community service directors from around the region, and the topic was CIP projects coming in over budget. And multiple directors in the region were saying, yeah, you know, we bid this, or we had this project, we designed it, you know, 3 years ago, and we expected it to be a $4 million project, and here we are going out for bid, the bids are coming back, it's an $8 million project, you know. Increases of twofold are not uncommon for labor and materials and design and everything that goes into a CIP project. As a result, like in the last budget process, right before the AOB was brought to the workshop, we all kind of had a sit down, and the director of finance essentially said, okay, so we have this many projects and this much funding, what isn't going to make it? And there was an entire process of winnowing down projects, reducing scope, postponing some other projects, eliminating projects. So that process happens on an annual basis where we look at the CIP, obviously something we've already committed to. We've broken ground on a project. We're not going to stop it. We're going to contribute additional funding to get it built if we need to. But projects that haven't yet started are the ones that typically get defunded to fund shortfalls on projects that are underway. So just in terms of the bigger picture, just to always kind of bear in mind that really the priorities get set with council, and we do have a council subcommittee on arts and culture. Do you remember who's on that subcommittee? Anyone?
I think it's Zach and Curtis.
Zach and Curtis currently. So you know the subcommittees change every year, but there is a council subcommittee on arts and culture. It is certainly something that I think a number of council members might support, but it's also very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Final note on this is, unlike a lot of older cities, we don't have the history of philanthropy that older cities have. You know, if you go to Irvine, Orange, a lot of these cities have a very deep philanthropic, well, maybe not so much Orange, in Orange County, a very deep philanthropic well that we just don't have here. We don't have, for lack of a better word, old money who can turn around and write a check for a couple $1 million in exchange for having their name on a building. So that means the city has to find ways of funding things. And grant funding is available, but for the most part, there's not the same volume of grant funding available for something like a cultural center that there is for maybe an interstate project, if that makes sense. So just some thoughts on that topic before we move on. I just would be remiss if I didn't provide some additional context.
No, thank you, Erica. Thank you. And I would love it if we could look into how we could honor the plein air contest and maybe a larger scale, perhaps presenting them certificates here in Chambers. Be great. All righty. With that, I'll just add my one. I got everybody right? No, Commissioner Castro. Wow, we went a long time, sorry.
Thank you for the report. Have you ever done any voice acting?
I originally was told during high school I should get into radio, but public speaking freaks me out, so no.
Usually when somebody tells you to go into radio, that means you shouldn't be on TV.
Oh, that too, that too, yeah.
I enjoyed seeing the numbers on the reels for Instagram. I like seeing those. Those are really great. Since we hadn't met since we didn't meet in September, I went back and looked through my notes, what I'd been to and what was going on, and there was too much to go into individually. But all those events we've had in those last 2 months, what has stood out to you guys, and did you find anything that was way better than you expected, or lessons learned, or what did you see come out of the events over the last 2 months?
Let's just start with Tracy, and we'll kind of work our way around.
Well, unfortunately, I was out of the country for 2 weeks in September, so I missed a lot of the signature events, but I heard they all went very well.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, was at all the events because Tracy was out of town. Honestly, I haven't worked the Art Fest in years, so this was the first time I've been back, and I was thoroughly impressed with some of the things, like you pointed out, Chair Sizemore, with what the anime portion has grown into. And behind the scenes, right after that event, Tony Marco and I did discuss how we will proceed in the future bringing his anime outside.
Okay.
Because he has outgrown the conference center, which is a good problem to have.
Yeah, I can see that. All right.
All right, mine's not a special event, although I'm happy to see that the college fair is back in live action again after the pandemic years. But I want to shout out that our reel has had over 50,000 views. It has gone viral. So this one with Zoe in it, She's the poster child of views, so we just keep seeing the numbers go up and up and up. Katrina put posters all over Zoe's cubicle to welcome her back from a little getaway, and she's just got so much enthusiasm, so much, pep, that now we're gonna do one of these types of reels for every season, for the Christmas stuff, for, the seasonal. She an authentic, genuine, enthusiasm for everything in Temecula. So because of that, she's getting emails and comments from, she said, I graduated from high school X many years ago, and people I haven't talked to in years are saying, I saw you on Instagram. So she's just a big hit, but it's genuine. It's like when Jeff delivers his park adventures and around and about. That's someone whose kids grew up here. It's real. He has deep roots in the community, and it conveys. He's not acting, So when we have that magic, it shows and then it takes off. So I'm incredibly proud of everything that goes on, but then when these spikes hit, it's magic. It's lightning in a bottle, and we're very fortunate to have the staff that's creative, innovative, and willing, like Mike Morey, to innovate daily. I mean, he's making and cranking out videos that just top the last one. So you'll see some more at council tomorrow, some more videos, but that's the latest craze is just social media viral videos.
I was going to say, Bea, I was at a meeting for our Shop Local Temecula Valley Committee with the Chamber of Commerce, and we were talking about a lot of the stuff community services does. And one of the ladies in the meeting goes, oh my gosh, have you seen the city's community, the Parks and Rec Instagram reels? And I said, yeah, I've seen some of them. And she goes, you know what? She goes, I learned about that channel from my teenager, because she goes, my teenager says Temecula's got Riz. And I'm like, Riz? She goes, yeah, that community services, your Instagram reels are the Riz. And I had to look it up, and apparently the Riz means you guys have charisma. That's slang for charisma. So even the teenagers are noticing it. So you must be doing something well.
That comment could not have been more timely for a variety of reasons I should probably not get into in this setting, but suffice it to say, we love, love, love hearing that about our social media. Going back to the question you had, Commissioner Castro, about our events, as Bea mentioned, the college fair came back, and that was really fantastic. If you haven't been to that event, I'm not sure how many of you have had a chance to go see that. The entire second floor of the mall pretty much is it's a takeover. There are over 300 higher education, vocational, military, other institutions that are there to provide information. And thousands upon thousands of kids come, and most of them come with parents, and it's just, some of them come with siblings, and it's just really, really cool to see. And, educational attainment is just such a critical metric for the success of any community. And so it's really exciting to see that one come back in person and to see it be so embraced again without missing a beat. The other one I was really excited about was our Temecula History Days, which we just had this past weekend. And part of why I'm so excited about that, it was a relatively small event. I know Sergio, Isabel, Daniel, you guys were all there. Tracy Courts, Don, you were there as well. It was a small event, but it's a departure from what we used to do. That used to be our Western Days event. And for a variety of reasons, we had to kind of reconfigure it. And so what I loved about that event was that it shows what we can do when we have to just completely reconfigure how we do something. And this used to be one we sort of farmed out to an outside group, and now we took it on ourselves and staff took it over. So even though it started small, it had a variety of activities for kids. It was very hands-on, very educational in a fun way, live music, which was great. So I'm super excited about that. I did want to add one comment. Bea showed the little poster here with Zoe, which, very exciting, 51,500 views. Go Zoe. Zoe is a new member of our staff, and as some of you might be aware, might not be aware, in the city we have
what we call regular employees who are full-time benefited employees, and then we have what are called project staff. Project staff sometimes are full-time, sometimes are part-time. The original intention of that classification was employees who were going to work a limited duration. Lifeguards, summer lifeguards are project staff. You come on, you work your 3-4 months, you go. Or occasionally, like the CIP division will hire a project engineer. They're bringing on this engineer, you are going to build this bridge. When that bridge is done, you know, bye-bye. In TCSD, a majority of our staff are what we call project staff. And it is the project staff who are the heart and soul of our organization and who create reels that get 51,500 views, who run our events, and who constitute several of the people you see here today. Isabel, Daniel, Matt, all currently project staff. And you wouldn't know it because they're doing the jobs that they're doing that are critical to what we do as a department. So I'm probably on thin ice from the standpoint of, you know, editorializing about something that is ultimately a decision, you know, a matter of, I won't exactly say city policy, but a matter of city operations. But I want everybody to be crystal clear on that fact that although it's transparent when you look at them and the work they're doing and the professionalism and their educational backgrounds and their duration of time they've been here with the city, Sergio started out as project staff. Am I correct? Okay, Tracy Courts, Tominez started out as project staff. Jasmine, were you project when you started? No. Dawn was, I was. So sometimes we have project staff who stick around long enough that a magic crack in the window opens and you get through it and you become a full-time benefited staff member. That's what happened in my case. That's what happened in Sergio's case. Sometimes you continue to do the work and show up for years and years, and you keep hoping that will happen. And I don't mean to like make this overly personal for anyone who's sitting up here, but I do want you to hear that message, and I want you all to hear that message that when you look at what TCSD accomplishes, we could not, literally could not accomplish what we accomplish if it weren't for all of the staff who are in that project status. So, for what that's worth. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you. And thank you very much for all the answers. I appreciate it. And I've added acclaimed art critic to my LinkedIn account. Feel free, Jeff, you can do it too.
Chair, if I could add one more thing, I want to acknowledge that Sergio is also here. Obviously, he's here for Matt, but Sergio is also cross-training at the museum. So he is parlaying his degree in history and learning directly from Tracy Frick and, you know, helping out. So he's just crossing over from sports to, you know, art and culture, and I want to thank you. And Isabel is also cross-training in communications and community outreach. So in addition to their regular jobs, they go above and beyond and do more and learn more and professionally develop. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, Vice Chair.
Daniel, I was going to thank you for all the special things you do at the museum. And as the discussion happened, I'm going to thank you more. So
Thank you.
it is apparent all the great work you're doing. I don't really have anything except I want to give a shout out to a couple former colleagues in TVUSD who were Barb Nelson was mentioned tonight, a former TVUSD art teacher, and of course Bonnie Martlin is another retired TVUSD teacher who contributes quite a bit to the museum and to the art community and to the community service department. So just wanted to give them a shout out, and I will move over to, are you going to do comments too?
I've already talked a lot, so I'll spare you guys.
I'm advocating for, you already did. Thank you.
Are you trying to insinuate I might talk too much? Okay, I hope not. Okay. Well, then in that case, I'd like to have a few discussions. All righty, let's move on to, thank you again, Daniel, for being here and for all you do at the museum. We appreciate that, and thank you everyone for your comments and what you've added to our discussion tonight. So let's move on to our consent calendar. We have one item on the consent calendar, which is to approve the action minutes from our last meeting on Monday, August 14th, 2023. We all should have had an opportunity to view those. action minutes, so do we have a motion to approve those?
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Second.
All right. Can we go ahead and take a vote?
Yes, so we have a motion from Commissioner Kingsberg and a second from Vice Chair Audie. So I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks,
Aye.
Commissioner Kingsberg,
Aye.
Vice Chair Audie,
Aye.
and Chairperson Sizemore.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous. The motion is approved.
All righty, thank you, Tracy. Next on our agenda is the business section. We have one item on our business agenda, which is to discuss and consider appointments for subcommittees for the years 2023 and 2024. All righty.
So I have a quick staff report on that.
All right, thank you, Erica.
So in the past, the commission has appointed 2 members to a sports subcommittee. For a variety of reasons, not least of which the Sports Recognized Youth League and field allocation process are extremely complex and came before commission quite a bit and still continue to come before commission. And also we had several commission members at various points who were very invested in that process. So the discussion for tonight is to ask, do we need subcommittees on the subcommission? Or on the commission, is that useful? If so, which divisions or topics would warrant a subcommittee, and would you want to appoint anyone to those subcommittees? For those of you who, just to give you kind of a framework for it, with the city council, our council is very heavily reliant on a subcommittee structure. That helps with complying with the Brown Act, because under the Brown Act, you cannot have more than 2 council members discuss a topic, other than in a publicly noticed meeting. So the city council has a number of subcommittees. I would say probably 15 or more subcommittees offhand. Some are ad hoc, some are noticed. And with various topics ranging from, as I mentioned, arts and culture, there's a public Parks and Recreation one. There's a fiscal advisory, fiscal responsibility. There's subcommittees relating to, there's one for TVUSD, for the relationship with TVUSD. So everything from specific projects to specific topics to specific issues within the city get a subcommittee. And then 2 council members are appointed. Those appointments can change every year. And then when a topic goes before that subcommittee, those 2 council members can meet with the relevant staff, members of the public, discuss it freely. Standing subcommittees are noticed under the Brown Act. Ad hocs are not. They can discuss it freely. They can formulate their recommendation, and then they can give staff a recommendation to take back to the full council if necessary. So our council relies on the subcommittee structure extensively. It's up to you guys to decide if you feel like that would be something beneficial here, is to have 1 or more subcommittees where you feel like 2 of you would meet on that topic. So with that, I'll turn it over here for your discussion.
All righty, thank you. And can we, I think it might be helpful to kind of maybe think of the committees subcommittees that currently exist that are applicable to our commission, such as the Arts and Culture Subcommittee, perhaps the recognitions. Do you guys have any other subcommittees that you think would be applicable to our commission?
Well, I'll give the little bit of history, since I think I am the most senior. So I go back to when we had multiple committees, and we did have, arts and culture was one of them. I think I am still the appointed sports
You are the sports
subcommittee.
liaison.
Okay,
Right.
so that's why I'm going, where was my,
That's actually worth bringing
partner on
up,
that.
there's a difference between having a liaison,
Okay.
which council also does have liaisons to typically to other agencies. Like we have a liaison to Animal Friends of the Valleys. So
Okay.
just as an example, off of council. So another tack would be to have a liaison, which is a single member as opposed to a 2-member subcommittee.
okay. And so, in talking, well, I haven't talked to Sergio, but, and talking to James, he feels like the system is so well done now that they're not getting as many issues with the sports assignments. So I don't even see at this point a need for a liaison in that appointment.
But I do want to bring up, for the subcommittees, we made a decision, the old commission made a decision that they didn't really see a lot of value in the subcommittees on a commission level, since, you know, we are only an advisory commission, so we actually had a formal vote to eliminate all of our subcommittees. So so again, now it has to be an annual vote, or is it that this came up as an agenda item?
This came up as an agenda
Okay.
item.
Okay. So I'm going to start at this level before the discussion starts of, I agree with that. I think we are out in the community quite a bit, attending events, communicating with staff, that we may, maybe looking at committees, subcommittees would not be that viable for what we do as a commission. So I'm going to take that stance right now, but I'm willing to hear what the commission has to say.
All right. Does anybody have anything to contribute?
Well, I would just say what I heard so far, and I was kind of aware, I think it was mentioned before at a previous meeting, that there had been committees on this commission, and they'd been eliminated, but I know it's on the agenda, but I haven't, personally so far, I haven't heard enough to be convincing to say, hey, we need these subcommittees back. And so I would need a lot more information to, and evidence, I suppose, to be more of a proponent of it at this moment.
Commissioner Hawks or Castro?
I'm thinking maybe we can consider as needed on the as needed base. If there is a need, then we can have a discussion if we need a subcommittee. Like, there are quite a few discussion about recognition for the art and culture. Maybe that'll be something we can do once a while when we have a once a year plein air or some other big event we want to recognize the winners. We can bring them here to recognize them. And then for other subcommittees, just more on the needed base.
Okay.
I like to think of things by what's the goal, what's going to be the outcome, and I don't see what the outcome of the commission, of a subcommittee would be. I do like the idea of a liaison because we all go to a lot of events, but none of us are focused on any one, or there's no guarantee any one of us is going to be at an event, where if we had a liaison, then that person's going to be take an in-depth look at that area or participate in those events. And so I see something coming out of those, but I wouldn't rule out a subcommittee if there was some goal that you can define and say, here's what's going to come out of this subcommittee. Then I would be all for it. If it's like, we're going to have a subcommittee that's going to come up with a recommendation that's going to go to the city council, then that makes sense to me.
Yes.
So it would have to be something that's, for me to support it, it would have to be something that's very well defined with a defined outcome or goal.
Okay. Okay, I hear all that. We've not had subcommittees since I've been here. I know that we have our subcommittees that our council members meet on, and I could see the benefit as needed to have a liaison from our commission that attended those subcommittee meetings. So like when the Arts and Culture Subcommittee met, perhaps a liaison was there, because we're their representative, and we're at more of those events. We know more of those people that we might be able to provide insight to them. So I could see the benefit of a liaison, but I could agree with the not needing any subcommittees here. We haven't had any since I've been a committee member. So do we have a motion for anything, or do we move to motion? Do we?
I would give one more thought on that. Just because of the discussion we've had on recognitions, That would be probably the only thing right now that makes sense to me.
Okay,
If we were to have, instead of a liaison, but a subcommittee that would kind of build this and then bring to us items so we could build a more formal recognition program at our meetings.
okay.
Because I do think that's something that's very lacking. It's sporadic in terms of how we recognize, and you listen to Daniel and Matt's presentations tonight, and it's the same thing. There are so many things that we could be recognizing here. And if we had it as an organized, every meeting we're doing a recognition, we'd be able to cover a lot more ground. And we could have even opened it up to, other community recognitions too. But, so I went from, I don't think we should
No.
have these, to maybe that one makes sense to me.
Can I question, what is it we would be recognizing? Are we, I know we have the Ready Commission who's taking on the cultural recognitions. Would we be like taking some of council's recognitions like National Bicycle Month or?
Maybe it would evolve into that, but I was thinking more of recognizing all our wonderful programs that, in our
Okay.
division. That's kind of where I was headed with it. And whether that needs a subcommittee or not, I don't know. But maybe we put recognitions on the agenda.
So the
to
advantage
do
of a
that.
subcommittee in a situation like that, you have a couple of options. In a situation like that, you could certainly agendize it and have a discussion with the full commission. In fact, I believe Commissioner Castro was actually going to bring up that exact topic for a future agenda item tonight. That will probably just be a very lengthy discussion with the entire commission. You could have an ad hoc subcommittee, which means you're only kind of existing to solve this one problem. It's not an in perpetuity standing subcommittee. And then two of you would meet, discuss amongst yourselves, and bring a recommendation forward to the full commission, which would then in turn allow the full commission to maybe have a more focused discussion. So if you wanted to go that route, then you would just move to appoint two members of the commission to either a standing or ad hoc subcommittee on the topic of recognitions. And then you would discuss amongst yourselves and settle on who it should be.
Now, do we need to make a motion to eliminate this sports committee liaison role?
Yeah, you could certainly make a motion to eliminate the sports liaison role.
Okay.
And I should clarify, with the subcommittee regarding recognitions, you would actually probably want to decide who amongst you wanted to be on it first and then move all in one motion.
Okay.
Unless you decide there's not a majority of support for that approach.
Okay.
Okay, well, here's what I'd like to do then to get the sports committee liaison over with, is to, I attended regularly at the beginning, and we went through a pandemic and came out of a pandemic, and and sports scheduling is running really, really well. So
You've paid your dues.
So that's a part of my motion, that the motion is to eliminate the sports liaison.
Okay, that's one
Is it-
motion. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, and Secretary, would you like to have a roll call vote here?
Yes, so we have a motion from Vice Chair Audi and a second from Commissioner Kingsburg to eliminate the sports liaison. So I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Castro,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawks,
Aye.
Commissioner Kingsburg,
Aye.
Vice Chair Audi,
Aye.
Chair Sizemore.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and motion is passed. Thank you.
Thank you. So now let's move on to this concept of additional subcommittees or creating a new subcommittee. Does somebody have something they want to create a subcommittee on, or do we have a motion to have no subcommittees?
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion then to
to have an ad hoc subcommittee for community service recognitions at commission meetings.
Okay. Do we need to have part of the motion be who's going to be a part of this?
Let's just go through and see if there's majority support for it.
Okay.
So is there a second,
I second it.
Madam Secretary?
So we have a motion by Vice Chair Audi to create an ad hoc subcommittee for recognitions at commission meetings, and a second.
Can we have discussion on this before we vote?
Sorry, yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I guess I'm back on then. Thank you. Yeah, my question, I guess, would be this to everyone. I believe 2 out of the last 3 meetings, we've had some sort of recognition to start our meetings. And those recognitions were done by, they were generated or recommended and secured by city staff who are very closer than us to the participants, whether it be the baseball and softball or tonight the junior swim and lifeguard. So I'm a little unsure of what our role would be in determining those recognitions and whether we should have a primary role. That's number one. And then number two, I'm wondering about our ability to generate our own recognition program. And maybe it's all fine, but knowing the city council, kind of oversees this commission, and they sort of oversee recognitions, is what I've heard said, a couple of times. I'm concerned, making sure that it's in line with where they're at. So I don't know how we if there is a subcommittee, bringing that together, or at least getting advice from city council or our director and superintendents.
Thank you.
Sorry, those are great questions. I'm glad you brought that up. If I can offer a little perspective on that, a couple of things. The city council just formed recently a subcommittee specifically on recognitions. They met several times. What they developed was 2 things. One was an approach to the proclamations, which the city council issues. And the other was they formalized the process for people who wish to receive a recognition for something they did in the city. And that could be anything from, you have a couple celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary and they want to be recognized by city council. It could be a retirement, as we had when Mary Ann retired, or Matt Ron stepped down and retired. It could be any form of recognition at all. And what they did was they formalized, the process for applications. So now there's an application online where if you want to recognize someone in the community, you have to fill this whole application, attach their resume or CV, write a letter of reference, et cetera, et cetera. The subcommittee then reviews that and decides whether or not to recognize them. The second part of it was it formalized what level of service you needed to have had to achieve what level of recognition. So if someone retires from council after serving 1 term, it's a different level of recognition than if somebody has been on council, for 20 years. I don't think this needs to be anywhere near that dialed in. I think the important things to note would be that you would only be weighing in on recognitions that are under the jurisdiction of the commission anyway. And that would essentially be items pertaining directly to community services. The second part of that is in terms of staff is able to bring forward things that we know of. So like the junior guards program, or when we have a sports team that achieves, they went to states or whatever. That's not to say there aren't things out there that we're not aware of. We're aware of the things we touch, aquatics, sports, our volunteers, other programs. But we're not necessarily aware of things that are going on, like maybe in the scouting world or within schools, some of the potentially organizations we want to maybe recognize. If somebody, let's say Temecula's schools had a mock UN team that did really well. That's the sort of thing we wouldn't be aware of. So I think from a staff perspective, the main role that commission could really help with, if they wanted to, would be kind of setting up a schedule of who you wanted to bring into meetings when, and identifying those opportunities to recognize groups that maybe we just aren't aware of as staff because we don't have visibility to it. I don't think it has to be anywhere near as in the weeds as what council did, and basically, I wouldn't worry about stepping on toes of council just because you would be focusing on the stuff that would come before you anyway, here on this commission. I hope that helped.
Any more discussion?
I heard what you said, and I agree with a lot of what you said. I think the subcommittee is not to make those decisions, it's to figure out what all those problems are and then bring it back to the commission to talk about and decide if we can move forward at all. Because I have a lot of the same concerns you do, where we're stepping on toes and duplicating other projects, and I definitely don't want to do what the city council did, because I think that's way too much. But I really thought these two groups that we had in, that's like, to me, very important for this commission, because I'm sure these kids are gonna, like the ones that were here today, are gonna remember, hey, we got this certificate at the city, at the city hall, and it's gonna something they gonna remember, and I'd like to promote more of that, but I just don't know how to do it without turning it into a three-ring circus.
I thought just with the discussion, maybe we can have a decision tonight to form a subcommittee, but not specialize, say who's on the subcommittee or what we're going to recognize, but just say we are going to have a subcommittee. And then when the issues come, we can say, okay, we have this, we want to recognize who wants to be on that subcommittee. Then just discuss to solve that one problem or issue, whatever, a recognition, not a problem. Then move on, like it's not like you said, ad hoc, but then as needed, say 2 months down the road, you see maybe some recognition we can do, then we discuss, say, who wants to be on that committee, and then they go discuss, then bring back to the commission, then we can make a decision, and the commission then decide if we want to recognize. So we don't have two people, we don't really know what we're going to do, and sitting on it, and then start to get nervous.
Yeah. I mean, the aquatics and the sports teams, how did we come up with those? I mean, how was it decided that they would come to the commission?
So with the sports team, that came from staff, as did the volunteer recognition. That was a recommendation by staff. So if it's a program that our community services department runs, and if they've done something exceptional, or whether it's a recap of their season, it's typically staff approaching either the superintendent, the director, the commission secretary to say, do we have a chance to put this on the next agenda for the meeting? So that may be something you could consider, is maybe when you're giving your commissioner reports, kind of say, hey, I heard that this team did really well at the last game, or I heard we had an outstanding number of volunteers at the theater this past season, and kind of in your commissioner reports suggest having a recognition, since a lot of them, if it is a TCSD run program, it would be staff who would be leading the recognition, compared to our Director Russo's example of a Boy Scout program or a school program, where that would be more of an outside organizer that would be coming in and presenting the recognition.
I think my understanding was the baseball teams that came was kind of a one-off accommodation, just that they weren't able to get in on council's schedule to be recognized. So staff thought, why don't we recognize them here, so they still got a recognition. So that wasn't something that we've done on a regular basis. The junior swimming that we did today, last year we also recognized them for the first time. And that was an attempt to add to their program versus just handing them a certificate at the end of the year and saying, thank you for your job well done. It was to make it a better experience for them.
We also usually bring the third grade history contest winners to you annually.
Okay.
So you have a bunch of options here, obviously. Ultimately, the commission can go a bunch of different directions with this. If your immediate goal is to increase bringing people into the chambers for these meetings, then one thing we could do is we could ask staff to develop like a monthly recognition that we would recommend, just based on what we know is going on, who we're working with, and we could bring those before the commission. And then you could table the discussion of whether or not to form a subcommittee, and you guys can take some more time, think about it, whatever you want. You can bring it back at a future date, unless you're ready to make an action on it tonight.
No, there's an element to that that I like, that I had wanted to bring up in my reports, that I would appreciate getting presentations more at our commission. I know like Ready Commission gets presentations from different organizations that are in line with their mission in the community. I would appreciate having presentations to our commission that are related, that services that run parallel to us. Like when we had the lady that came in to share about Beep Ball, I found that very informative, and I appreciate having that information because I actually went and was talking to someone else in the community about that. So I think knowing about other organizations that fill in those areas that we don't cover or provide additional services to our residents, that I think would be beneficial as a commissioner to know that those exist so that I can share that information with the community.
Here's the purpose. The purpose of my motion was to bring positivity to the city on a consistent basis, not on a sporadic basis, and so that leads me to it's just will create this. It'll create momentum in a positive way, which we lack so much of right now. And I think that, that said, I want you to just quickly clarify if commission asked for staff to do once a month, does that take a motion for us to do that?
No, that's just the commission asking staff to do something. That's totally
So
fine.
do we have to all say it together?
I mean, it's kind of a, if anyone objects, speak now or forever hold your
Okay.
peace sort of
Okay, so I
situation.
throw it out there?
Yeah, so unless you have like a strenuous objection from someone on the commission, because it really one commissioner could say, hey, we'd like to see more of this, and unless your fellow commissioners
All right.
object.
So I'd be willing to let my motion die in lieu of saying, could you do a once a month recognition?
And Chair Sizemore, are you comfortable with that approach?
Yeah, I would like to, it not to just be recognition, but to have there be some informational, educational component to it.
Absolutely.
Where we're
Yeah.
learning more about
Should be.
organizations that run alongside our
It
mission.
should be two ways,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, we can do that.
I'm all for that.
Okay,
All right.
so we have an informal majority here on this. I see head nodding. It looks like it's
Do we
unanimous.
have informal eyes?
Yeah, we have informal eyes on that. Okay, so
And
no formal motion, but
If you can let us know who the POC for that would be, so that if we do come across something that we see that you might not know about, we can feed it into the hopper.
for now, I would say that's going to be Madam
Okay.
Secretary Tominas. That may change, but for now, she's a great point of contact.
Okay.
I think that's great. I mean, you guys know I'm real involved in the scouting, Boy Scout world. But I think I'd love to have a night where we had like maybe Girl Scouts come in too, and we recognize some of their silver awards or gold awards and learned about what it is they do. I think there's a lot of organizations that coincide with the same mission that we serve in the community, and it'd be great to learn more about them. All right?
Great, thank you.
So we will move on to our director's report. Erica?
Okay, I had a note here. Let me go back to that. Oh, okay, just two brief things I wanted to bring to your attention. The ribbon cutting for the MRC has been delayed again. We're now looking at December 14th. Is that right? That's correct.
Yes, if I haven't already, I will send you the revised update, commissioners.
So this has been just a never-ending series of postponements on this project, but we will have a ribbon cutting before the year end. Even if we can't open the doors and let anybody inside that building, we will cut a ribbon on that dang building. The second thing I wanted to let everyone know, you're probably aware, but Rosie Vanderhoek has retired after over 50 years of service to the community, literally 51 years of working in libraries in Temecula, which is just bananas. When Rosie started, our library was a storefront in the Tower Plaza that, was like 350 square feet. So the city is going to recognize Rosie formally. It had to go before the recognition subcommittee multiple times, but I think we have cleared every hurdle, and the city will be recognizing her formally, and I will provide more details as soon as that is finalized, which I think will be after tomorrow. So, but yeah, finally, after like literally just an unimaginable amount of dedication, not only to the library system, but she served on the school board for 8 years. She's been on the cemetery board since I think 2011. This is somebody who has just been involved in her community and giving back constantly for basically her entire adult life. So we are very, very excited to wish her well in her retirement, and I will be very excited when I can finally share information about the recognition for Rosie. So, and that concludes my report.
We look forward to hearing that, Erica. And regarding the MRC, I think there was a wise city council member here who said you never regret doing it right the first time. So we can wait.
Or apparently doing it wrong 6 or 7 times and then
No,
getting
they're
right.
doing it. They're doing it right.
No,
And
they
sometimes
are.
you have to be patient when you're doing it.
They
right.
are, and Nino Abad has been the principal engineer on that from the CIP division. He's done a great job. It's a huge project. A lot of things can and have gone wrong.
Mhm.
Materials have been delayed. You name it, it's happened. But we will have a ribbon cutting.
When it's the right time, we will, and we'll look forward to it.
That's right. Oh, and speaking of ribbon cuttings, we are reopening the Mary Phillips Senior Center this Thursday at 10 a.m. Perfect, 10 a.m. So there will be a ribbon cutting for that as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now comes time for our commissioner reports, and we will start with Commissioner Hawks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the reports is just this last Saturday, I was at the History Day. That was the first event. It's really fun to be out in the heat. And just imagine 100 years ago, they have to be like that every day in the summer. But it was really nice to just see different little booths and learn about our local history. There is a gentleman from the Pachanga making pottery, and I saw how he did it. And there is even I didn't know there are 2 local museums. Lake Elsinore Museum was represented, and Murrieta Museum was represented. I learned some weaving, and my kids did some activities about old time and talked to blacksmith Frank. We learned a lot about blacksmithing. So I think it's really nice to have this event, and I hope we will continue a History Day to educate our youth and the importance of history. And that's this weekend, and also for September, it's really busy. Almost every week I was at the event, and I was at the 9/11 with all the fellow commissioners, so I really appreciate that our city took a time to pause and memorize that importance of that event and that day. And Daniel mentioned I was at the Museum for the Philippines celebration, and 2 weeks later I was there painting the chapel, and a week later I was at the health fair. That's also my first time at the health fair. I was really surprised by the large attendance there. I'm not sure the number, but it was a huge crowd. And so just again, appreciate all the events we have for our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hawks. Commissioner Castro?
Thank you for the time. I want to congratulate you guys on all the events over the last 2 months. I thought they were really great. Like I said, I was at numerous of them, but they were really well done, and it seemed like everybody was having a good time, so thank you.
All right, Commissioner Kingsbury?
Thank you, Chair Sizemore. Yeah, great to hear about all the good stuff as usual tonight. I guess it was in the August recap that Tracy sent. By the way, thank you for sending that to us. But I attended the Senior Health and Safety Resource Fair on August 30th over at the TCC. Great job by our management team, City Emergency Management Team, Human Services, Chuck Washington and his office, and Mayor Schwank. And then exactly as I look at the dates, 1 month later, I did attend, I may have missed you, Commissioner Hawks, the Health and Community Resource Fair back on September 30th. I beat the rain, so that was my big achievement of the day. For the most part, and got over there. I enjoyed talking to a lot of the vendors, and it was nice. And to see that we've done that 13 years in a row speaks volumes. That's a huge commitment to that. I'm looking forward to seeing the grand opening of the Senior Center this Thursday. I will be there. And then finally, I wanted to thank Erica for sending out the success of the Cycle for Hope event, the city staff. I believe you sent it out late the day on Sunday, so thank you for getting that out in a timely manner. I know it wasn't a city event, but being involved in Bike Temecula Valley, I know it's very nice to have the city's support. And I want to give kudos to Vice Chair Audi, who happens to be the president of Bike Temecula Valley, for his great work and being a key player in organizing and making it successful. So I want to thank the city for their support on that event. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Chair?
Well, thanks for the kind words. I haven't been at anything, but I've been at a lot of things. And I was at city council one night for a whole week, but anyway, just as always, thanks so much for everything. I did want to bring up the parklets that are going into Old Town. It's one of those things that, like always on this commission, we're kind of on the fringe of some things, but it's parklets, right? So it seems like it would fit with our commission. But again, beautification of our city, just a way to make things more aesthetically pleasing and climate sensitive. And if you know, we'd just like to have. I guess my comment on that is that we'd like to have a little more input on the commission for things like that are going on in the community. But other than that, guys, two great reports tonight, great recognitions. Thanks so much for the help on adding positivity to the commission. And thanks to my fellow commissioners for just all the great work you guys are doing in the community.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I will add to that I really, it really means a lot to me when I go to the different events and I see so many from our team here at the events. I appreciated seeing the majority. I think Jeff was out of town for 9/11. Yeah, but I think I saw the rest of you there. I saw multiple of you at the health fair. It warms my heart to see how active and participatory our commissioners are here. It's not just a one night a month for you. I appreciate seeing that. A couple of things to add. The parklets. The 11th's my only night home this week, so I'm not attending it. But I would greatly appreciate if at our commission we could get a report of what the result was of that, what the public's
Yes.
comments and inputs were.
Yes, we can definitely do that.
Because I think that will be a wonderful addition to our community to add some of those parklets. And I'd also love to hear about the skate park. Isn't there another meeting coming up here soon?
Yeah, there will be a third one. It hasn't been scheduled yet. In this last meeting, they presented two concepts. One was complete overhaul, and the other was trying to maintain as much of the existing park as possible and just modifying it.
Because it was, what was it, legendary?
Exactly,
Yes.
because in the first meeting, we had a small contingent who thought it was legendary. But the opinion in the second meeting was unanimous that they want the full overhaul. So they took away a lot of very passionate feedback from the group. They will take that back. The designer was there on Zoom. The designer took all the feedback. They're going to tweak that proposal again, and they're going to bring back the third concept to a third meeting. That will probably be held over at the skate park and the CRC to actually get people on site where they can kind of walk around. But it hasn't been scheduled yet, but we will let you know when it is.
So it was legendary, but we're over it.
Yeah. Well, I think the few people who thought it was legendary didn't show up.
Oh, you snooze, you lose.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. Yeah, a lot of great things this month. I'm really, it amazes me that the health fair, I rode my bicycle down here and I got here with water dripping off of my helmet and I was all wet. And then the very next Saturday, I'm like, we gotta get home, honey, because I don't want to be riding in the heat. So it's amazing how the difference we have in our weather between 1 week. I loved the history days. I just have one thing I would love to see changed. I want mud for tractor races. I mean, you can't tell me you have a tractor race and I get down there and there's no mud.
I'll bring Stacy Fox in here and you can say that to his face. Stu has been pushing to bring back the tractor races, and I know it would be wildly, wildly popular, but the big challenge is where do we put it?
Yeah.
Because we can't tear up a sports field, we can't tear up, green space in a park, so we would have to find kind of an empty lot somewhere that we could just
demo the skate park, and then before we rebuild it, we have a grand.
have a tractor race in it. That's outside the box thinking.
Win-win? No? Okay. All righty. So with that, we will go ahead and adjourn our meeting.
I have one quick thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank Erica I asked some questions about the one report, and you guys followed up and gave me information on some of the ongoing projects. If we can get those on a regular basis, that would be great, especially if they have scheduled dates in there, when the projects are going to be completed or what the schedule is.
Sure, definitely. We have a
So-
lot of CIPs right now that are ongoing that impact TCSD.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Gary, I'm going to disappoint you. I'm going to add one last thing. I just wanted to share it with Commissioners Kingsburg and Castro. I just really appreciate seeing how engaged the two of you have been, emailing questions during the month. It's been great to see you guys you're the new guys, but you haven't been shy. I appreciate you guys just jumping in there and being active and participatory, so thank you. All righty. Now with that, we will go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting. Our next meeting will be here in council chambers on Monday, November the 13th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Hope I wasn't too long.